Alright fellas, Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn are finally set to face each other. They're of course meant to fight a couple years ago, yet then Conor Benn ate a few eggs and it was all called off. A couple years since the controversy, we find ourselves with this matchup scheduled once again, and the first press conference just happened. And well, it kinda all got a bit eggy. But just before we get into everything, if you love boxing, you're in the right place, mate. I'm Cloister and I make videos about everything boxing as it happens. So to always stay informed, make sure to subscribe. Now, Eubank versus Benn is of course the family-based rivalry going back decades at this point. If you're American, there's a good chance you've never heard about their fathers. Yet their fight a few decades ago still stands as one of the biggest fights in British history. A legendary rivalry in which Eubank won the first and the second was a draw. Both fighters went on to have sons who also became boxers, and now after both of them have built up their careers, we're set to see this rivalry reignited. Yet it's been reignited for a good few years, and a couple years ago they had a bout scheduled, and then Benn, a couple days before their bout, popped for a banned substance, and instead of just taking the ban, he went and found every excuse to explain why he tested positive. The story changed many times, but eventually somehow he was cleared. And now after being cleared, he's free to fight in the UK again, meaning it was only natural for this bout to be rescheduled. The last couple years for both fighters have been interesting. For Conor, he's only had a couple fights, both being basically hotel lobby fights in the States. In neither fight did he look fantastic, and his last bout was over a year ago. For Chris, it's been a bit more of a rollercoaster ride. First, he gets knocked out by Liam Smith, then he gets the TKO win over Smith in the rematch, and then after this win, he somehow found himself in discussions for a Canelo bout, only to end up on a Saudi card against a journeyman. There are a lot of question marks about this fight ever actually being rescheduled, with Eubank seemingly staring down a Canelo bout and wanting to chase that, and Benn staring down a bout with Barrios for a world title and wanting to claim the WBC title like his father. It didn't look like this bout would be likely for a while there, yet the Saudis wanted it to happen and managed to get it over the line, and now it's set to happen in late April. The promotion for this fight has only just started. It's the next big card for the Saudis, being the first ever Ring magazine card. What does that mean? Well, it's not the usual Riyadh season card. This card is being funded by Turki Al-Sheikh himself, using the branding of the Ring, which he also owns, to advertise it. I wasn't expecting too much from this presser, other than a bit of banter. To be honest, I didn't even think I was going to cover it. And that's really what it seemed like it was going to be until the face-off, where Chris Eubank smacked Benn with an egg in the face. It almost seemed like he was trying to get Benn to move his head by talking to him to only smack him with an egg. Now, if you don't get the egg reference, it's a reference to the WBC ruling that Benn's positive pop was due to Benn eating too many eggs. It was contaminated eggs combined with Benn's highly elevated consumption of eggs, which made him test positive for clomiphene, which wasn't really a good look at the time and all seemed a tad ridiculous. After the smack, all hell let loose, with the security guards grabbing Benn, Nigel Benn grabbing Eubank by the throat, just generally a whole bunch of commotion. This does of course elevate the hatred level between the two, which was already sky high. But this move could be a part of a long-term game plan for Eubank. Chris probably wants to make Benn as mad as possible before their bout. He obviously thinks he can charge him up to the point where he'll get in the ring deeply emotional and make mistakes because of it, hoping that Benn will hunt for the knockout, make mistakes, and then Eubank can take advantage of the situation. If you forget the history, on paper this is a bit of a weird matchup. Of course, both are names in the UK, but Benn is a welterweight and Chris is a middleweight. That's a 2-division jump up for Benn. There is a rehydration clause in there for Eubank, but it's undeniable that Eubank is naturally way larger. You may look at some of Benn's training footage and go, wow, he looks so destructive, the jump up should be fine. Well, his last couple matchups he has jumped up in weight, even to super welterweight, where his power didn't look fantastic. Jump up again against an even heavier opponent? I don't know how he's going to truly do. In terms of predictions, I really only see this fight going a few ways. If Benn wins, I don't think it'll be by taking the distance. The most likely scenario that I can see him winning in is if he can gauge Eubank's range and timing and catch him with a knockout blow within the first half of the fight. But the longer the fight goes, the more trouble I think Benn could possibly be in. If Eubank manages to establish his jab and keep Benn at range, there's no reason he couldn't easily control the whole fight. Also, Eubank might feel Benn's power and decide he can freely trade with him, like we saw in the Smith rematch, with Eubank feeling comfortable to press Smith. The punch from that fight that I think would be most dangerous to Benn is Eubank's fantastic uppercut. That punch is there for Eubank and could be a strength we could see all night long. Conor dips down a lot, and once Eubank figures out his timing, this could be incredibly dangerous. We also saw in Benn's last match against Peter Dobson that he does have some holes defensively, with Dobson landing cleanly quite a few times when he shouldn't have. I'm sure Eubank will be watching that tape and looking to take advantage of those areas of weakness. Although Eubank isn't world class, he's definitely one of the more technically skilled boxers Ben has fought, and the truth will be shown in this fight. Does Eubank still have it, and will he be able to show levels to Ben even at 35? Or will Ben prove all his critics wrong and finally truly announce himself onto the global scene with the biggest win of his career? I guess only time will tell. Also, it's worth mentioning that Turki Al-Sheikh has already said that the winner would fight Canelo, which is just mental. I know Eubank was already rumoured with a fight with Canelo, but no one wants to see that. And nobody wants to see a welterweight Ben versus a super middleweight Canelo. Nobody wants to see those fights. Yet, is there any substance in these rumours? Well, potentially. This fight has a rematch clause. I'm not sure if it's just on Eubank's side or for both of them, but unless it's a dramatic knockout, we're probably set to see this fight again later in the year. That leaves the winner to face Canelo at some point in 2026. It sounds genuinely insane, but it might just happen. Although at the end of the day, I'm looking forward to this fight. More so because I admired their father's bouts and kinda love the idea of their sons fighting decades later. Of course, the previous promotions have been plagued with issues, yet hopefully there won't be any this time, and we'll see this fight finally happen. I'm also kinda jealous to all you UK fans, because I know that Tottenham Stadium will be an unreal atmosphere. Yet now, I want to hear what you guys think. What's your thoughts on the fight being rescheduled, and how do you see this fight going? Let me know all your thoughts and predictions in the comments down below. If you did enjoy, please consider liking and subscribing. It does a ton to help the channel. But thanks for watching, fellas, and I'll catch you in the next one.